much about it.
This becomes relevant. It says, okay, here's the physical particles of my body. Why are they in a healthy state, or why could they be in a sick state? That's the physical expression. And the answer is, well, to understand that, don't look at the body. You have to understand the invisible forces in the field.
I tell people that it's like gridlock in New York City. You can't get down Fifth Avenue, you can't get up Sixth Avenue, you can't get across 23rd Street if you've got blockages in these circuits and in these pathways. So we have to clean out the congestion and the traffic in order for everything to be moving cleanly.
What happens when I tap at some point on my body, especially one of those points of low resistance, is that a very small electrical charge travels through my connective tissue and my muscles to other points in my body.
We use these points in a very methodical, intentional way. So the Chinese have been using them how? Well, they apply pressure, acupressure. They apply needles, acupuncture, along these different points.
So any physical pressure creates an electrical current. And I think that's what we're doing, is we are exciting the electrical system, and the nervous system, of course, is electrical. So tapping just initiates an electrical current.
So let's go through the points real quickly so that you know what points we're talking about. We start with the karate chop point. Okay, it's along the side of the hand. And use your fingertips and just tap on the side of your hand like that. We will start here and do a lot of tapping here while we make certain statements, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. During the dark moments of your day, what might you say about your immune system?
It's failing me.
It's failing me. So what we would say is, even though my immune system is failing me right now, I deeply and completely accept myself. And we state that 3 times. Now, you would then start tapping on these other points, and we use what's called a reminder phrase. My immune system and all the ways that it fails me. I'm just coming up with something, right? My immune system and all the ways that it fails me. My immune system and all the ways that it fails me. My immune system and all the ways that it fails me. Now, when you're tapping, if you were to imagine drumming on a table and making a noise, that's about how much pressure you want to use, so that you're really connecting with the bone underneath the tissue. Now, you don't have to. Some people really tap hard thinking that's going to do a big difference. It doesn't make that much difference. You know, really intense tapping, you know, right? That's not necessary. Some people tap in a circle. Some people will pat their head, right? You just gently tap the top of the head. Now, it's just about the center of your head. So the eyebrow point is at the beginning of your eyebrow. Right. And it's on both sides. So sometimes you can tap both hands, one hand. You can cross over, doesn't really matter. Sometimes I feel like I want a little more stimulation, and I'll use both hands. So the next point is along the side of the eye. Now, it's not so close that it makes you blink, and not so far back that you feel like you're on your temple. It's really on the bone, right here. Okay? Everybody got that? Under the eye point. It's a little sensitive, so you don't want to bang on it real hard, but it's right directly below the pupil, and just tap gently there. Under the nose. Now, I curl my lip down a little bit when I tap under the nose, because I want to be able to make it a little firmer. It's not necessary. You all right? It tickles? Okay, so try a little firmer. A little firmer. Okay. Chin. It's not actually down in the chin. They call it the chin point. It's in the crease here, okay? And just tap there. Now, the collarbone point, the collarbone itself, you have it on both sides, right? It's where the whole shoulder attaches to your body. So find that bone on both sides, and then come down about 1 inch into the soft tissue, right there. These are the under the arm points. Now, the underarm points is not way up in the armpit. It's about mid-bra line for women, about a hand width. If you start feeling very emotional about anything that comes up, just start tapping. And then you're going to notice, every once in a while, you can stop, take a look at where your intensity is on that, and notice that it will shift.
If on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no feeling whatsoever, and 10 being the highest level of distress, where would you put your level of distress? So it's just a way of telling whether or not a change has occurred. We bring the issue to mind, we give it a number, you go ahead and do the tapping, and then you check the number again. That guides you to know, is it working or is there something in the way?
What we want to do is scale the intensity or the charge you have on this issue. So let's say someone hurt you very badly and you're mad at an ex-spouse. When you think of him or her, how much? 0 to 10, 10 is the highest. And the reason you want that is because you want to measure after doing the tapping if it's gone down. You want to have a pre-measurement and a post-measurement. Otherwise it's very hard. People say, oh, it doesn't bother me anymore. And they're not really paying attention to how much better they feel.
And we may ask you things like, well, what does that feeling remind you of? Some of them are obvious. If you were in a car accident, clearly that's something that was a big trauma. But some of the things would be like, oh, this can't be it. Those are magical words for us. This doesn't make any sense. Magical words for us. This couldn't be it, because it's a doorway into the body's energy system, into the feeling of it. A lot of people get stuck just getting started. So what I suggest that they do is pick a pain in your body. Pick some place that you have tension. I'm going to be working primarily with Jody, but each of you, by tapping and stimulating your system, you'll notice that the things that come up for her may not always be applicable to you, but you'll be surprised at how much of the human experience we all have in common.
With fibromyalgia, your muscles are always tense. You never really fully relax, so that would be nice. It's an autoimmune illness because, you know, it's literally you're attacking yourself. So that's what I do. It can get really bad, but the most difficulties I have are generally in my wrists, and that's probably because I type a lot, and in my knees. And I used to walk a whole lot. Every day I would go for about an hour walk, and I loved it. But I just can't do it anymore. So it's frustrating to me because I really like to be outside and I love to walk. So I don't like that. I want to get back to where I can go outside again and walk around.
For each of you, find some part of your body that's feeling some physical discomfort. You got it? Write it down, if you would. And then just ask yourself, if there was an emotion in this part of my body, what might it be?
There's an emotional connection with about 85% of all physical illnesses. So I think that's pretty, people know that. What they don't fully understand is that the solution for that isn't necessarily a drug.
If you were to get really angry at your knee, do you ever get angry at your knees? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you say to them?
What do I say?
Yeah.
I say, how dare you betray me?
Ah, great job. See how we're using just whatever words are coming up? Even though my knees have betrayed me.
Even though my knees have betrayed me.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
Sometimes people have a conflict with saying they accept their behavior. They say, I don't want to say I accept myself. Accepting yourself does not make you get stuck.
I find this one statement alone to be one of the most powerful in cleansing and clearing. And a lot of it has to do with just being willing to love yourself no matter what's going on in this moment.
I remember working with a colleague of mine, a mother of 3 small girls. We were traveling together and we were having dinner one night, and she was sharing with me that she smoked cigarettes and that she was really embarrassed that she smoked cigarettes. And she also really felt horrible being a mother of 3 small girls and smoking cigarettes. And so I told her that, you know, if she wanted, I would teach her the technique to help her possibly quit smoking. I'd never used it for smoking before, but I figured, what the heck, I use it for everything. And I started to treat her, and just using the setup phrase, I said to her, I want you to start with, even though I smoke, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. Even though I'm a mom and I smoke, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. Even though I'm smoking and it sets a bad example for my children, I deeply and profoundly accept myself. And she burst into tears. And I could see really clearly, it was almost like I could see her block. I knew that the self-loathing she felt about smoking, the way that she beat herself up about smoking, was the actual thing that locked it in place.
Even though I'm not going to accept my knees.
Even though No, I'm not going to accept my knees.
They have betrayed me.
They have betrayed me.
Ah. I accept myself.
I accept myself.
And all of my attitudes.
And all of my attitudes.
Even though I'm perfectly right to feel this way.
Even though I don't feel I can do this, or you acknowledge that.
What's happening is here, first of all, I focused on the problem. And I think just knowing what the problem is, admitting it, getting the secret out, getting it out of myself is a very therapeutic thing to do. Actually, it was Freud, I'll have to paraphrase him, who said the way to healing is to have no secrets.
Even though he was gross.
Even though he was gross.
And I'm really angry.
And I'm really angry.
How could he do this to me?
How could he do this to me?
Even though.
Mom didn't want me.
Mom didn't want me.
She didn't seem to want any of us.
She didn't seem to want any of us.
And she would even verbalize this.
She would even verbalize this.
Even though, I'm fighting myself.
I'm fighting myself.
So you stated in present tense, and then in as much specific detail as possible, with as much emotion and passion and enthusiasm and vivid mental imagery, with as many other sensory inputs as you can, sounds and sights and smells.
Acknowledging your own emotional experience is powerful. Being able to say, I am feeling this way. This is the emotion.
I deeply and completely accept myself. And we state that 3 times. Even though my immune system is failing me right now, I deeply and completely accept myself.
I think the statement that even though I have this fill-in-the-blank problem, I deeply love, accept, and forgive myself while tapping right here is the single most powerful thing you can do, in my opinion, when it comes to tapping.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
I don't have to believe it.
I don't have to believe
Because
it.
now I'm in control.
The reality is it's the inability to accept yourself with whatever fault you perceive that you have that's preventing you from moving forward. And I usually tell people, you'll figure that out in just a few minutes because you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel it in the body's energy system as you begin to embrace it.
I want new knees.
I want new knees.
I must have new knees.
I must have new knees.
My knees are no good.
My knees are no good.
They do keep me moving,
They do keep me moving.
but not well enough.
But not well enough.
Not good enough.
Not good enough.
My knees are not perfect.
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 Take a deep breath.
Okay, that's much better.
Okay, why don't you stand up for a moment? Let me know how they're feeling.
All the shame, the shame, the shame in my body. All the shame in my body.
I don't forgive myself. I refuse to forgive myself. Under the nose, it's unforgivable.
What is something that you might feel when the pain shoots up?
Anger.
Yeah, even though I'm angry at angry at me or angry at
Frustrated.
We often are ignoring those areas of our lives and our characters that need real attention. And if we ignore them long enough, they begin as a little whisper saying, hey, pay attention to me, I'm here for healing. Eventually they're saying, hey, pay attention, your body needs some work right now. If we keep on ignoring those small symptoms and small issues, eventually our body is screaming and saying, hey, pay attention to me right now, or else.
Who do you think might be represented by that pain in your back? What conflict do you think is being stored in your knee? What do you think is going on that would make your shoulder act up that way, every time you have the pain?
Maybe the problem is the work that it goes into it, because it's work. It's mental, it's chilling out, it's focusing on what the issues are, it's analyzing your body. I've trained myself the last years not to think about how I'm feeling. And that's all we're doing here is how are you feeling, where, how, why. I'm just like, shut up, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to think about it.
There are many thoughts that cause tremendous emotion in us. But emotion is feeling, and it is physiological, and that's why it has great effects on our health and our physical state.
We're getting stuck as people in patterns of thought and emotion that keep us from healing.
So I think that we've got some work to do that we could do on the accident and the feelings around the accident.
And I can release the grief.
I can release the grief.